Okay, Shannon, put us on the record.
Okay.
Oh, okay, we're on the record in the matter of Van Poppel versus Van Poppel. Counsel, state your appearances.
Attorney Carlos Lopez on behalf of Joseph Van Poppel.
Susan Danke on behalf of Erica Van Poppel.
All right, and I understand that the defendant has objections to plaintiff's proposed order.
I do. I filed my objections, and I thought we were just going to have a discussion today about these issues. But I mean, if you want, I can cover what we just talked about in chambers again.
I think, like I said, it needs to be on the record.
I understand.
So go ahead.
So what comes down to this is that looking at Ms. Danke's order, it's substantially different than what your ruling was on the 5th. Basically, it was very briefly treated, and there was very much vagary in here, and you were very specific in your ruling, and we covered several issues, and things were placed on the record to protect my client, so we could move forward with the transaction. Specifically, the insurance, which was heavily deep dive into on that hearing. We talked about the insurance. We needed the boat insured for the entire amount of time. She was made to, her client was supposed to be responsible for paying that insurance. There was also licensing of the boat in order to take it out and get it inspected. It had to be properly licensed, so there were no issues. And my client was more than willing to go to the Secretary of State and get it properly licensed. That was on the record. Even Mr. Van Poppel himself spoke about that issue on the record, which you heard. And we went through all that as well. And in addition to that, there was the value of the boat wasn't supposed to change. It was supposed to remain that stipulated $15,000 per the mediation agreement, and regardless of what the inspection said. And that was placed on the record. In addition to that, specifically, this was discussed at the end. We were concerned about like another bad faith rejection. And you said that they could only reject the boat if there were material problems with it based on the inspection. And otherwise, you would consider it in bad faith. If they reject the boat because there was a crooked antenna or something, this isn't a material problem, but that was our concern. And nothing like that's in their order at all. And you also said if such a bad faith rejection were to take place, you could assess costs and attorney's fees. I mean, these are material issues that are left out. And then some of this, should definitely be in there. Her order substantially changes her role. I mean, it just isn't what it reflects. I've ordered a copy of the transcript. I've been waiting for about a week and a half to get it. I don't have it yet, but I've asked for it because the orders that I received from Ms. Danke prior to this were just as equally brief and incorrect. And she said nothing about the insurance and any of them, and including this one that she noticed. Where is the insurance part about this? It's clearly missing. That was something that we talked at length. I mean, that's just not there. It just isn't. I mean, how are we supposed to, proceed in good faith if they can't even agree to the terms of what you said? That's a huge part of this. And unfortunately, it's just not being done.
All right. So I know I put on the record statements about how I would view a rejection from this point forward. That really doesn't need to be in the order. I was simply making it clear to the parties that if there was a bad faith rejection, how I would handle it. I don't think that needs to be in the order. That is still my view. It will be my view. All I said about transporting and insurance is that the person doing the transportation must ensure that the plaintiff indeed must make sure the person who's transporting the boat has insurance that would protect against damage to the boat while it's being transported, and that person would also be responsible to make sure that whatever trailer is used to transport the boat is licensed. This says properly licensed. It doesn't say the trailer properly licensed. I'm going to insert that because I don't want any ambiguity there.
So a big part of this was the insurance, because my client was worried about if the boat was damaged or something happened to it, he bears the risk of loss, and it could
if
happen at the
the,
marina.
if, well, all I remember speaking to is insurance for transporting the boat. I don't remember speaking to any damage that might happen while it's in the possession of the marina. But frankly, the marina would be responsible for that. If there's a fire at the marina, they have insurance to cover that.
I spoke to the marina. They said they will not cover the boat if something happened to it there. And I am almost 100% sure that we talked about this in the hearing, and perhaps, the transport will clear it up. And I mean, if that wasn't part of it, I'm sorry for bringing it up, but I believe it was. But I know that it was a big worry for my client, and I know we discussed it on the record.
Judge, at this point, I would suggest that it's a bit of a moot issue. Mr. Lopez, as he indicated, did speak to the marina. By the time he was done talking to them, they were pretty sure they didn't want to do the inspection. They were concerned about why they were being grilled in such detail about
That's
what
not
insurance
true.
would and would
That's
not
not
cover.
true.
But
If we're going to get into other issues, if we're going to get an ancillary, excuse me.
Counsel, I'm talking. Excuse me. It's not your turn to talk. Stop interrupting. Go ahead, Ms. Danke.
My client has gone out and obtained insurance. We have provided the same insurance she would normally carry if she owned the boat. We have provided that information to Mr. Lopez. She has managed to get into Secretary of State and obtained a licensed boat for the boat, which I don't think she needed for the inspection, and for the trailer. We've provided that information to Mr. Lopez. My client actually had the marina ready to do the inspection the day of our hearing or the next day, but we were not able to get the boat. Mr. Lopez had some issues and some questions. We've now provided him with insurance, licenses, everything else. If the marina is still going to do the inspection, all we need is to know when we can get the boat. I actually have the $15,000 due sitting in my safe. That's how determined my client is to make this happen. I already have the money.
Well, let's see it. Because at this point,
hang on a second. Let me grab the check.
At this point, they retitled the boat, Your Honor. They changed the title in her client's name. That was done. Since we're going to get into ancillary issues, her client retitled the boat in her name ahead of when the inspection was even going to take place. We have a motion pending on this. Why was the boat retitled? There was no reason. And Ms. Danke said, well, she did it on accident. How do you accidentally retitle a boat? That's ridiculous. And I mean, the whole point of this transaction was a simultaneous exchanging of duties. We're talking basic contract law, mutual exchange of duties, title for money. They already retitled the boat. I don't really want to go into all this because we're going to wait until the hearing that I have scheduled. But I mean, they poisoned the transaction. They sent us applications for insurance initially. They didn't even have insurance on the boat. I tried to work with her, and it took her days and days in order to give me basic things like the insurance policy so we could move forward. And instead, she was saying initially, let's do it this day. And I said, well, you don't have these things. And I said, we can't move forward until you at least have in the insurance and the licensing. My client was more than willing to go to the Secretary of State and get the licenses needed. I told her that. I sent her emails to that effect. I contacted her. We did not want to hang on to the boat. But then when it was retitled, I mean, it created this further problems. I mean, it needs to be done. And I think that you were pretty clear. I want it over as well, but they're just not working with us like they should have.
Mr. Lopez, you asked to see the check. Can you please acknowledge that I'm
I see
showing
it.
you the check?
I see that you have the check. Can we have the check since you retitled the boat? Can we have the
Soon
check
as-
since you retitled it? Since you
As-
took that duty away from my client?
All right, here's what I've done, and frankly, I don't want to hear any more. I've changed Ms. Denke's proposed order to say that plaintiff shall be responsible for arranging for the transportation and inspection. Plaintiff shall insure the boat and make sure it is properly licensed as well as the trailer. The inspection will be done within 2 weeks unless the marina confirms they are unable to do so. No parties are present for the inspection. The party shall have 48 hours after a successful inspection to exchange the title for the check at plaintiff's attorney's office. I'm signing that order now. I don't want to hear any more about this boat unless